Now, there are many applications that use geospatial data, and a classic example would be Airbnb, where you have a map and multiple points on the map. Now, behind each point there is an address, and behind each address there is a mathematical coordinate of latitude and longitude. Now, if we Google latitude and longitude, you will have the information about geographical coordinate system. And basically, a latitude and longitude are mathematical values based on which you can pinpoint any address, any dot on the world map with different levels of precision. And to be able to use this kind of geographical coordinates in Ruby on Rails application, there is the gem Geocoder that primarily allows you to find an address by coordinates, to find coordinates by an address, and to different mathematical computations based on latitude and longitude. So let's try using this gem in a Ruby on Rails application. I will start by saying bundle add geocoder to add this gem to our gem file. And let's try running a few queries with this gem. I will say result equals geocoder.search, and let's search for Paris. Now let's have a look at the result. And you see it found some kind of town of Paris in the United States. So definitely not the capital of France. So you should be a bit more explicit in your searches. Let's say Paris, France. And let's say result. And here already we have some information that the country is France. Okay, let's have a look at the geographical coordinates. Let's say result.first to get the first value in this array. And let's say first.coordinates. We've got these coordinates. Let's try showing them in a map. And here, yeah, this is the center of Paris in France. Okay, let's try finding another point in the map. Let's try finding the capital of Ukraine. So Kyiv equals geocoder.search. We will search for Kyiv, Ukraine. Kyiv.first.coordinates. Let's have a look. I will open this point in again in Google Maps, and here we've got the central point of Kyiv. Okay, what if we want to find let's say the central point between Paris and Kyiv? We could say something like geocoder calculations dot geographical center. Then we would have an array of result dot first dot coordinates. If you remember, this was the coordinates of Paris, and then we'll have Kyiv.first.coordinates. And here we've got a new point that was calculated based on the center between these 2 points. Let's try to have a look at it on the map. Okay, let's have a look at it on the map. And this must be somewhere in Czech Republic. So let's zoom out, and we see it is the center between Paris and Kyiv. So it seems to be working. Okay, now let's see what else we can do in Ruby on Rails applications with an actual model. What if we have a list of hotels in our Ruby on Rails application, and each of them has an address, and we want to find their geographical latitude and longitude? Let's try creating a scaffold. So I'll say Rails generate scaffold. Location. A location will have a name and address. It will have a latitude. Let me just be sure that I type latitude correctly. It will be float, and it will also have an index. And we will have longitude, float, index. Now let's run railsdb migrate. And I've already prepared some seeds. So here I have a list of hotels. 3 of them are in the same city, 1 is in a nearby city, and 1 is very far in the United States. So I'm going to seed these 5 locations into our database. I'll say railsdb seed. Now let's have a look at our console, location.all. Here we have seeded all these locations, and each of them has an address, and we don't yet have latitude and longitude. So let's try finding latitude and longitude based on the address. Now, as we've got a Rails model, we can use a command named geocoded by. So geocoded by. I will add this to the model. Let's go to location.rb, and I will add geocoded by address. Now I will restart the server once. console once again, and I will say location.geocoded. And you see now none of them have been geocoded. Let's say not geocoded. So all of them have not been geocoded yet. Let's try adding the latitude and longitude, so geocoding one of the locations. Let's say location equals location.first location.geocode. So we find the coordinates. Let's return the location once again. Now it has latitude and longitude, but for them to be persisted, it will have to say location.save. Let's say location.geocoded. There is one that has been geocoded and the others have not been geocoded yet. So let's try to geocode all the non-geocoded locations. I'll say location not geocoded dot each do location location.geocode and location.save. Now it can take a few seconds because it's kind of calling the API to calculate the latitude and longitude based on the found address. Okay, and now all of them have been geocoded. Let's just ensure location.not geocoded, there are none. Okay, so looks good. Now we can do different computations based on the coordinates of these locations. Let's just go back to our Rails server and have a look at a list of all the locations. I'll go to localhost/locations, and here we have a few of them. So let's try to search for locations in a specific place. Let's try adding a search bar here. Now, a nice method to search for locations near something specific would be location.near. And here you can put anything. Let's say Paris, France, and the proximity would be within 30 miles because it uses miles by default. And you see it shows none. Let's show all locations near Paris, France within, let's say, 1000 miles. And it shows all the other locations in France. Let's try within 10,000. And it also shows the one in the United States. Now we can also say that we want to sort them by distance, for example. So it would be something like sort, or actually order by distance. Okay, let's try run this kind of query in our controller. So I would go to our locations controller, and here I would have at locations equals location near. Here we are going to have our search param. So let's go to our index page and add some kind of search form where we can add any kind of address, and based on this address we are going to search for nearby locations. So I will say equals form with URL locations path method will be get do form. Then I'll have an end statement, and inside the form I will have form.text field to search for a place. As for example in Airbnb you can search by any place like Paris or Playa or whatever, and it would try to understand your search query and find the nearby locations. So yeah, I will have text field for place. I'll have value will be params place, and I will have a submit button. So equals form.submit. And in the locations controller I will say near params place, and here I will have if at params place.present, then we'll have the search, otherwise we'll just have all the locations. And let's make the search within like 10 miles by default. Okay, so I will search for all locations near Kiev, and there are none. Let's search within Nice, and there is one. Let's search Cannes, there are 3. Let's search within Las Vegas, and there is 1. Okay, let's go back to Nice. What if we want to search not within 10 miles by default, but within, let's say, 100 miles? I'll increase it in the controller, and you see we also get the results from Cannes. Okay, let's make this distance configurable. So let's add one more variable here. equals form.select distance, and we'll have an option of 10 miles and 100 miles. And we want to also have this distance variable in the controller, so it will be either params distance or 10 by default. Okay, so let's try searching. I have Nice and 10 miles. Let me try Nice and 100 miles. And you see we also have the results from Can. Okay, so search works. Now, what if we want to go and open a location and find the closest locations to this location? So similar results. Well, we can do it by using the method named nearbys. Let's try it in the console. I'll say location.first.nearbys and within 10 kilometers or 10 miles. And you see, it shows also the other locations that are in Can, excluding the current location. So let's try doing it in the Rails server. I'll go to show page for the location and say equals at location.nearbys within, let's say, 10 miles. Let's see if there are any results. I will say so nearbys.inspect, and here we have an array of other locations. Okay, let's now display each of these locations separately. I'll just comment this out and I will say locations nearbys within 10 miles dot each do, let's say, location. End statement, and let's display the name of each location, so location.name, and let's make a break. Okay, so here we have two locations. Let me remove this equals. Yeah, here we have two locations, and let's also display the distance of these locations to the location that we are viewing. So let's say equals location.distance to at location. So distance to is also a method, as is the method nearbys of Geocoder, and here we can use it to measure the distance between two coordinates on the map. So here you see we have the distance 0.5 miles and 1.1 miles, and we have displayed the distance of these locations to this location. Let me go to the hotel in the USA, and you see there are no nearby locations because none of them are available within 10 miles from our from this location. Okay, now I'm already tired of these miles. I don't really like miles, I like kilometers. So let's try using kilometers. Now Geocoder has a config file that we can install. So I will say Rails generate Geocoder config, and I will go to geocoder.rb, and I will say that we want to use not miles but kilometers. So I will say units will be kilometers. Okay, let me restart the Rails server, and I will refresh this page, and let's just see that the distance is different. So it was 0.57 in kilometers just now. I will try to make it miles. I'll start the Rails server. Okay, it didn't change. That's strange. Let's see why. Yeah, actually, it looks like I just made a typo. Units, yeah, like this. So units kilometers, Rails server. I'm refreshing, and you see the distance has been updated. So now the distance is a bit bigger and it is already calculated in kilometers. So now it is correct. Okay, looks quite nice. And as a final point to this episode, you see we have this latitude, longitude, address, but it doesn't give us anything visual. So to actually visually display the locations on a map, let's try to use a Maps API. Now, I'm not going to use Google Maps API here, I will use Mapbox API. So I have just created an account, and I have received an access token. Now I can go to Playground, and in the Playground I have this static images API that I will use for this example. And here we have multiple things that we can customize. So we can display a square with some kind of place on the map. And we can update the width, height, the zoom level. So let's make it like 13. It is very close. 9 quite far. Maybe 12 or 11 would be good, depending on, again, the geographical location. And let's also have a point in the middle of this map. So I will go to overlays. I will add the longitude and the latitude. And let's choose a color. Let it be red. And click add overlay. And here you see the URL has been updated. I will copy this URL and I will display it for each location. So I will go to the location partial, and here I will add an image tag, and it will just be a URL to this thing. So let's refresh, and you see each of them has the same location. So I need to have the latitude and longitude updated based on each of the location's parameters. So I will say here you see it is doubled location latitude. Here again I will put location latitude, and I will also need location longitude. So location longitude and location longitude, and this way it should be dynamic per each location. Now this location actually doesn't work correctly for us because I mixed up the order of latitude and longitude. So latitude should go first for this specific API. So longitude and latitude goes first. Okay. Or not. Let's see. Okay, so now the locations are not displayed correctly, but it looks like I made a typo here. So this minus shouldn't be here. It was from the default map location. So I'm removing the minus here and here. And let me go back. And you see the location is more or less correct. Now you see it is too zoomed out, so I will increase the zoom a bit. I'll make it not 11, but let's say 13. And now it displays the locations on the map a bit more precisely. So in Cannes, in Nice, and in Las Vegas. And yeah, it is about it. Just some more important things. So if we go to location.rb, we've added geocoded by address, but there can be cases that, well, what if we create a new location now? Let's try create a new location. I'll name it like Procter and Gamble Poland, and the address is Warsaw, Poland, Konstruktorska 13. Let's just ensure that this address will be found by Geocoder. Let's say geocoder.search. Will it find this address or not? Let's try finding another address. Okay, it found this address. Let's just put in this address. Maybe I made a typo in the previous one. And you see I created a location. Okay, I didn't create it because I need to start the server. Rails S. So create location. And it says undefined method each. So it has undefined method because it doesn't have coordinates. This location does not have coordinates. So latitude and longitude have not been calculated. So we didn't calculate them when creating this record. And to create them when latitude and longitude when creating the location record, we would need to say after validation geocode, and we would say also if address has changed. And this if address changed will have us do fewer requests for the Geocoder API, so our application will run a bit faster. Only if the address has changed, we are going to geocode it. Okay, let's go back to the address, and yeah, where is this address that we have just created? Show location. Okay, let me just go and edit it, and let me click update location. So the address hasn't changed, so it hasn't been geocoded. I will just go back once again. /edit, update location. It is running the geocoder command right now, so it should get the latitude and longitude. Okay, and I'm returning this, and everything should work just fine. And you see it showed this address in Poland. So yeah, that's about it. In this episode we've found latitude and longitude of multiple locations based on their address. We have geocoded existing records in the application. We have added search based on location, so it'll be easier for you to build your own location-based search service. Here I found all the locations in Nice within 100 miles, or actually kilometers, because we have updated it in Geocoder. And yeah, that's about it. That's really neat. We can have a look at the location. If the location has any other locations close to it, we can also see it. And this way you can build, well, your own map-based search engine. So thanks for being with me, and see you in the next one.